Hello and welcome to homework walkthrough video 2.03a independent practice. Looks like in this homework we got some word problems, word probos. Let's jump right in. Question 1. Marcy is school supply shopping on a tax-free weekend. She has $42 to spend. Okay, so Marcy is the main character. I'm underlining some important parts. She has $42 to spend, so that's where we start. Let me see with $42. And so far, Marcy has put in her cart 2 boxes of crayons that cost $2.22 each. So 2 boxes of crayons. Each box of crayons costs that much. 3 packs of pencils that cost this much each. 1 box of pencils, so that's 1 pencil box, a pencil box for that much money, and a pack, so 1 pack of glue sticks for this much money. Interesting. So what is Marcy's total? Oh, so what is her total? Another way to ask this is like how much will she spend? That's another way to ask. How much will she spend? So she will buy 2 boxes of crayons. So 1 box of crayons costs this much, and another box of crayons costs this much. What kind of math are we going to do? If I'm trying to see the cost of every item all together, what kind of math is that? Yep, that's adding. So if I have like a $2 popsicle, a $2 popsicle, a $5 popsicle, all together, that's $9. We're doing something similar here, just with harder numbers. So 222 plus 222 plus 3 packs of pencils. So one 0.92, another 0.92, because there's 3 packs of pencils, so one more 0.92, 3 packs of pencils, plus 1 pencil box for $7.30, and 1 pack of glue sticks for $5.13. So what is the total? Ah, I'm so glad we could use a calculator for this. You can do this by hand, or you could also use a calculator. So let's pull up our Kawaii calculator, and let's type this in. 2.22 plus 2.22 plus 0.92 plus 0.92 plus 0.92 plus $7.30 plus $5.13. So her total is $19.63. 19, I'll write it out here. $19.63. I don't need to type the $sign because it's already right there. How much more can she spend? Oh, so she will be spending $19.63. And she starts with $42. So another way to ask this is how much money is left. What kind of math do you think we're going to do here? Not adding, right? Because then what, I go into the store with $42 and I walk out with $60? Nope, that doesn't make any sense unless I robbed it. So spending money. How much is left? Yeah, that's subtraction. So we will minus these to find out how much money is left. So we start with $42 and we minus $19.63. 63 cents. She has 22.37 left. 22.37 left. So let's type those answers in. And again, don't need to type the $ because the money amount's already there. 19.63 and 22.37. Check. Correct. All right, it does not tell me I'm wrong, so I must be correct. Let's move on. Question 2. Brittany is making a punch for a party. She has 8-liter jug to pour. She has an 8-liter jug to pour the punch into. Okay, so she has a giant jug to pour the cup into. All of the juice will go in there. All the juice. She plans on using 0.46 liters of Sprite, 1.7 liters of lemonade, 2.17 liters of cranberry juice, and 1.5 or 0.5 liters of fruit punch. Okay, let me underline the important stuff. So Brittany's the main character. What is she doing? She's making punch. She has an 8-liter jug. She's using that much Sprite, this much lemonade, that much cranberry juice, and this much fruit punch. When Brittany combines the liquids, how many liters of punch will she have? Oh, interesting. So when she pours the Sprite with the lemonade, with the cranberry juice, with the fruit punch all together, there's that word again, all together, how much will she have? What kind of math is that? Putting the Sprite with the lemonade, with the cranberry juice, with the fruit punch, and all together, how much do you have? Yep, all together is a word for adding. So let's add these. 0.46 plus 1.7 plus 2.17 plus 0.5. What does our Kawaii calculator say that is? 0.46 plus 1.7 plus 2.17 plus 0.5. 4.83 liters. 4.83 liters. So that's the answer to the first box. How many liters of space will be left in the jug? Oh, so the whole jug is 8 liters, and we're using 4.83. 4.83. How much is left? What kind of math will that be? Yeah, that'll be like subtraction. It's like how much will be left, how much will remain, what's the empty space? So we have 8 total, and if we take away that 4.83, we will see how much is left, how much empty space there is. Let's use our calculator. Here, 8 minus 4.83. I also know it's not going to be adding 2, because that wouldn't make any sense. I have 8 jugs, and then after I put a whole bunch of juice in, now there's 12 liters left. What? I'm not going to times it, and I also won't divide it. I mean, maybe it was either subtracting or dividing. I go subtracting. I think that would make more sense. But if I was wrong, I would try dividing next. I think this is right. 3.17. That's how much space is left in the jug. Here are our answers. 4.83 and 3.17. Check. It did not tell me I'm wrong, so I must be correct. And let's continue. Question 3. 1 pound of apples costs $4.14, and 1 pound of oranges costs $3.08. So 1 pound of apples costs $4.14. Okay, just writing this out. 1 pound of oranges costs $3.08. How much would 3 pounds of apples cost? So if 1 pound of apples is $4.14, how much would 3 cost? Well, I put 1 pound is that much, then another pound is this much, and then my third pound is this much. We could add the cost of all the pounds together, but it looks like we're just adding the same number over and over again. That's called repeated addition. And there's a faster way to do repeated addition, and that is called multiplication. Instead of adding the same number over and over again, let's multiply. If 1 pound of apples costs $4.14, then 3 pounds of apples would cost 3 times as much. Let's pull up that calculator and see what 4.14 times 3 is. 12.42. 12.42. How much would 4 pounds of apples cost? So if 1 pound of oranges. If 1 pound of oranges is $3.08, then 4 pounds of oranges would cost 4 times as much. A slower way to solve this question is to do 3.08 for 1 pound plus 3.08 for another pound plus another 3.08 plus another 3.08. This is called repeated addition because I'm adding the same number over and over and over again. But there's a faster way to do repeated addition, and that's called multiplication. If 1 pound of oranges is about $3, then 4 pounds of oranges would cost 4 times as much. So let's use our calculator and see what is 3.08 times 4. I think it's going to be about 12. Let's see. Oops. Times 4. It's 12.32. Let's write that down. $12.32. All right, time for the last question. What will the total cost of apples and oranges be? So I have 3 pounds of apples, 4 pounds of oranges. What will the total cost be all together? What kind of math is that? The total cost of oranges all together. That is adding. Yep, so if it costs $12.42 for apples and $12.32 for oranges, altogether that would cost adding. So let's try and add those. I think it'll cost about $24 because 12 plus 12 is 24. But let's use our calculator to make sure. Plus 12.32. Yep, 24.74. That's the total cost, 24.74. So let's type in our answers, 12.42, 12.32, and 24.74. Check. All right, it did not tell us we were wrong, so we must be correct. And let's move on. Question 4. Miss Smith is going to sod her front yard and backyard. So I'm going to underline the important parts. Here's my main character. She's going to sod. Sod means plant grass. That's what sod means, plant grass. Her front yard and backyard. Okay, so let me draw a little picture. So here is the house. She's going to sod her front yard and her backyard. So we're going to draw a fun little swing set. Here's the backyard, and here's the front yard with her car. She's going to plant some grass. Okay, continuing. She needs to find the square footage total area of her front yard and backyard. Her backyard is fenced in, so she will need to find each square footage separately. Her backyard is 76.77 feet in length and 117.5 feet in width. Her front yard is this much in length and this much in width. Question 1. What is the total square footage of her backyard? So her backyard. To find the area of a square, to find the square footage, you do length times width. So how long is her backyard? Her backyard is 76.77 feet. And how wide is her backyard? Yep, 117.5 feet. And the formula to find the area of a square is length times width. So we will do 76.77 times 117.5 to find the square feet. I think the number is going to be pretty big because I'm starting out with big numbers and I multiply them and they're going to be even bigger. So let's type it in, 76.77 times 117.5. Whoa, big number. Holy moly. Let me write my final answer in red. 9,020.475. Doesn't tell me to round anywhere, so here's my first answer. What's the total square footage of her front yard? So her front yard. Same formula. To find the area of a square, you do length times width. Well, how long is her front yard? Yep, 54.9 feet. And how wide is her front yard? Yep, 61.5. And then we multiply the length and the width. Let's use our calculator for this. I think my answer is going to be pretty big again. Not as big as this first answer, but still kind of big. Times 61.5. Yep, pretty big, but not as big as the first one. So let's write our answer down. 3,376.35 feet. What is the total square feet of sod she will need to buy? So she needs 9,020.475 feet for the backyard, and she needs 3,376.35 feet for the front yard. Altogether, how much yard will she need to sod? Altogether, how much is that? Yep, altogether is a word that means adding. So you have this much in the front yard, that much in the backyard. How much altogether? We add to answer that question. So let's see what we get when we do 9,020.475 plus 3,376.35. Such a big answer. 12,396.83. Whoa. Okay, let's type in these answers. I'm so glad I wrote my answers down. Those answers would have been really hard to keep in my head. 9,020.475, 3,376.35, and altogether that's 12,396.83. And do not use commas. Don't use commas. Just type the number in without commas. Check. It does not tell me I'm wrong, so I must be correct. Question 5. A farm produced 452.16 kilograms. Kilogram is like a pound. It's how much something weighs. So a farm produced this much corn. Let me underline that number. A farm produced that much corn in a week and packaged it in crates that held this much corn. How many crates of corn would the farm have to sell? Okay, so I know we do something with these numbers. These are the only numbers in the problem. So I will either have to add, subtract, times, or divide them. So a farm produced a whole bunch of corn. Here's all the corn they produced. Corn plant. In a week, and packaged it into crates. So that's 450 corn. And then they packaged it into crates of 60 corn each. So these groups are smaller because 60 is smaller than 450. How many crates did they use? Interesting. Okay. So do you think we would add these numbers? If we added them, our answer would be like 520. Does that make sense? If I use 520 crates and there were 62 kilograms of corn in each crate, like 62 pounds of corn in each crate, that's way more than 452. So that doesn't make any sense. So we're not going to add. Having 520 crates, no, that doesn't make sense. What about subtracting? If I subtract these numbers, well, if I do 62 minus 450, that's a negative, and that doesn't make any sense. Negative crates, I don't even know what that is. But if I do 450 minus 60, I would end up with like 390, which again seems too big. That seems like too many crates. So I don't think we'd subtract either. So we're either timesing or dividing. So do we times here? Well, if we did times, and we did, again, I'm just rounding here. I'm doing like estimation skills because I don't want to have to type in the decimals. I'm still just figuring out what I'm trying to do, making a plan. If I times these numbers, I get 27,000. 27,000 crates? That number seems too big. Whoa, that'd be so too many crates, I think. That number I think is gonna be too big. Too many crates. 27,000 crates? I only have 450 pounds. I don't need 27,000 boxes for only 450 pounds. Especially because I'm putting just like 62 pounds in each crate. So now we're left with dividing. So I'm pretty sure we're gonna divide. But what do we divide? 62 divided by 450? Or 450 divided by 62? Well, let's talk about we could just try each of these and see which one would make the most sense. But let's also talk about what division is. Division is where you take a group of something and you cut it up into smaller groups. That's kind of like what we're doing here, right? We have a group of corn And we're cutting up that big group into smaller groups. So how many groups will we need? Just for kicks and giggles, let's do 62 divided by 450 and see if it would give us a reasonable answer. No. Less than 1 crate is what this would give us. It was like 0.13. If 1 crate fits 62 pounds, I'm definitely going to use more than 1 crate. So that doesn't make any sense. That's not reasonable. So let's try this way. I'm pretty sure putting the big number first, then the small number is what we're going to do. But let's write the real numbers now. No more estimating. 452.16 divided by 62.8. 452.16 divided by, 452.16 divided by 62.8, 7.2. Now that makes sense. 7.2. That sounds like a reasonable answer. If I've about 450 pounds of corn and 1 crate holds 60-ish pounds, yeah, I'd use about 7 boxes, or 7.2 to be exact. So let's type that in, 7.2. And that's all I put in. Don't need to type any words, just 7.2. Doesn't tell me I'm wrong, so I must be correct. Let's move on to the last question. Ayo, last question alert. Trina's car holds 16.5 gallons of gasoline. She has 2.251 gallons of gas in her vehicle's gas tank when she stops at the gas station to fill up. Okay, so Trina has that much in her car. So she has a tank of gas that can fit, actually let me draw that over here. This whole tank of gas can fit 16.5 gallons. She already has 2.251 gallons. So there's already 2.251 gallons in there. Already has that when she stops. So let me draw that gasoline. Gasolina. Already has gasoline in the car. If the current price of gas is $3.74 per gallon, how much money will she need to spend? Round to the nearest cent. So she does not need 16.5 gallons, right? Because she already has some. So let's first find out how many gallons of gas does she need. So altogether, the question mark and 2.251 is 16.5. How do we find this missing part? Maybe let's subtract. If we took this away, 2.251 from 16.5, then we'd find out what this missing piece is. So let's try that, 2.251 and 16.5, and let's minus them. See what we get. 16.5 minus 2.251. So she needs 14.249 gallons. This is not our final answer. The question's asking us how much money will she spend. So if she bought 1 gallon of gas, it would cost her $3.74, right? That's what $3.74 per gallon. If she bought 2 gallons of gas, it would be another $3.74. If she bought 3 gallons, it would be another $3.74. 4 gallons, it would be another $3.74, and we could keep adding these up over and over and over again. But that seems like too much work. This is called repeated addition. Whenever you find yourself adding the same number over and over and over again, stop. And instead, you can multiply. So we know it costs this much per gallon. So how many gallons do we need? We need 14, almost 14 gallons. If it was 14, we would do 3.74 times 14 because that's the easier way than just adding 3.74 14 times to itself. But we would times by 14. But we don't have just 14. It's 14 point something. So we're going to times by 14.249. And if you love writing down like the different vocab words for the different math, the word per means multiply. So 3.74 per gallon means I would times this number by however many gallons I need. So let's type this in our calculator and see what we get. 3.74 times 14.249, and I'm rounding to the nearest cent. And when I round to the nearest cent, the nearest hundredth place, I look at the thousandths place, and then I ask myself, is this number closer to 10 or closer to 0? For me, my number 1, is closer to 0, so I will round down, making my final answer 53.29. $53.29. So let's type that in. And I gotta make sure I type in the $, $53 and 9. What was my answer? 29 cents. Check. It does not tell me I'm wrong, so I must be correct. Then I click Finish Attempt, Submit All and Finish, and Submit All and Finish again. Got them all correct. All right, if you need more help with this homework, please let me know. I love to help. Good luck and goodbye.